Thank you all for coming out to our talk. And let's just dive right in because we've got a lot to discuss. Paola, I want to start with you. And you've been telling me a little bit about Torino City Lab, which is a really interesting project. I want to give you a chance just right off the bat to give us an overview of what that's all about.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me in this beautiful and amazing place. Yes, we define in Torino a policy around innovation. The name is Torino City Lab, and this policy wants to attract in our city innovative organizations that need to test their innovation. So what the city are doing for attracting this organization? First of all, we give all our territory for testing. So if an organization wants to come in our city, we give all our city in order to test their innovation and to demonstrate that their innovation is valid. The second thing is supporting organization with data and information. So if an organization needs to define their business model, we give data and information in order to create the right business model. As you know, in Italy, and I think also in all the other cities, we have a lot of problem around the bureaucracy. So the job of a city is also to simplify the bureaucracy procedure and give all the authorization in order to test innovation. Imagine to test drone technology, you need authorization for flying the drone on your city. So the role of our city is also simplify the environment, giving authorization and simplify the bureaucracy. Then help organization to create the connection with the environment and the ecosystem of our city. And finally, involve also the citizen in this testing. Because if the citizen give a feedback to an organization, the organization will improve their innovation. And for us, it's also a way of engage citizens around big level of innovation like autonomous car, drone, or 5G technology. Finally, if an innovation have a positive social impact and environmental impact in our city, we have the role of scaling this innovation at the national level and also at the international level.
Mm-hmm. And so, Paola, you work more so, obviously, in the municipal side of things. Bernd, you're on the other side, so to speak, in the private industry side. Tell us a little bit about Robert Bosch's Connected Mobility Services division, which I understand is a newer division. Tell us what that's all about.
I can do that. I wanted to talk to Paola before we came on stage, but she said, no, I'm only talking to you if you behave correctly on stage. So let's see. So no, of course we built this new unit because we believe strongly in the future of shared mobility, of autonomous cars, of electrification. We believe in the content into vehicles, intermodal and all of that. And we wanted to collect all these efforts into one strong unit, the first new business entity at Bosch since 20 years, focusing really on the mobility aspects in terms of shared and services for the future. So, and urban environments and cities are one of the nucleus to drive that, or the key nucleus. We strongly believe that. So this unit is established. It's about 600-700 people at the beginning. A lot of software and service engineers working in it, and with two focus areas at the beginning. It's Europe, Germany especially, but Europe as such, and China. And I want to highlight that we intentionally decided to start in China as a first place to go into the business with this new type of efforts.
Mm-hmm. You said Torino, not China.
No, I said
correctly?
Torino. Yeah, it was like that.
And the fact that this is a new division, I think, points to the fact that, historically speaking, the auto industry has been very self-contained. It's been kind of its own entity. It's had its competitors, but they've all been each other, you know, the other major auto industry players. How is the ecosystem now evolving as we start to solve the smart city and the future transportation problems that are often bigger than just one particular company or one particular brand?
So from our perspective, definitely this is not a this is not a play for a single player. This is only working in partnerships. First, starting with the customer itself. In that case, it could be the city. So understanding what the customer needs are, and the city itself, and really the consumer of the services in the city. But then it's a company like us who is supposed to be a tier one delivering into the auto industry, but now really having a lot of more customers in the future, which we need to understand. This could be cities, enterprises, consumers directly, etc. So we need to incorporate them. And then it is really, as we always did, partnering with the OEMs, with two-wheeler companies, but also with the IT world. Mm-hmm. So we need help. We cannot do anything, everything on our own.
Mm-hmm. Now, also, the experience of transportation in cities is changing drastically. Before coming to Lisbon, I was in Paris and Amsterdam, and I noticed that the streets are so shared by so many different types of vehicles. You've got electric scooters, bikes, cars, streetcars, Ubers, all these different forms of transportation. It seems like the journey is becoming more fragmented. There's more different pieces of the puzzle. I wanted to sort of get both of your take on how the way in which we navigate cities is no longer about just getting into a single vehicle and going to a single location, but becoming more fragmented, and how you think that is going to shape the way that these smart city innovations are developed. So, yeah, let's start with Paola.
Okay. Yes, we try to manage in our city mobility as a service. So the citizen has not to choose one type of vehicle, but just to choose where he or she wants to go, and then choose the different vehicle during his path. But we are not yet now in this way of manage our mobility. What we are doing now in our city is pushing shared mobility, because we don't believe that the ownership of a car is for this period. So we try to redesign our city for the citizen and not for the vehicle, for the car, as we did in the past. And we push a lot the innovation around autonomous car. This because we would like to give back time to the citizen and to give more value to the citizen and to reduce the accident. We have a lot of accidents in our city, so this is the reason that we are pushing this kind of mobility that is much more safe. What we are doing around autonomous car is create a circuit inside the city using a 5G technology to connect the vehicle to the infrastructure. And this is the power of the ecosystem. So in this huge innovation, you have to recreate all the value chain of the innovation. So cars makers, the part of infrastructure technology, the university, that all together can help the innovation to become a service for your city. And so we create this circle inside our city. We collect all the partners, the cars makers, team, that is our technological partner, Intel, all the university, all the insurance also company, and we start some testing around autonomous car in order to test the infrastructure, but also to test the services that we want to deliver to our citizens. For example, we start with one services that is bring the citizen from the station to the hospital. And this is the importance of the positive social impact of innovation.
Mm-hmm. And Bernd, I wanted to go back to something Paola had mentioned. The idea of ownership when it comes to vehicles. We're very used to this traditional idea of you own a vehicle, you're responsible for that vehicle. More and more that is changing. There's a lot more bike sharing programs, scooter sharing programs, and I imagine we're heading in the same direction with car ownership as well. How do you think the idea of ownership is changing now in the sort of world of transportation?
I'm sure the ownership will change dramatically. I'm a strong believer in that. We see the shared economy also in the car ownership, so to say, type of thing. And that is where the movement is going. It's going into fleets, ride-sharing, ride-hailing. It's going into this direction because it's reducing stress. It's reducing accidents at the end. It's reducing emissions. And that is where not only the government is pushing for, but the young generation is asking for. And we need to be ready for that. So it's all about intermodal. And I experienced it yesterday. I was picked up here by some native Lisbonians to pick me up to a restaurant in the city center, and it took us 2 hours with the car. And I think if we would have done it with an intermodal or modal app, really select how to get from A to B, we would have seen maybe walking would have been faster, and moving to an e-scooter, to a kick scooter, it was raining, moving to a train or whatever, and then moving back to a car would have been better, right? And I have to admit, driving on these streets, which are so narrow, it's also a little bit dangerous, right? So we will see that for sure, and we are betting a lot on that.
Absolutely. Well, so there's a lot of promise in terms of solving some of those traditional problems that we have with mobility. There's also a lot of challenges, and before we make this the most optimistic conversation, let's talk a little bit about what challenges are still in the way in terms of reaching this reality where there's different types of transportation, shared transportation. It sounds great, but there's a lot, mapping technology still needs to evolve. Sensors, artificial intelligence, battery technology, there's still lots of missing pieces. What do you think is the biggest challenge and going to be the most important hurdle to get over?
Me? The biggest challenge is change the habits of the citizen, our habits. This is the biggest challenge. So we normally live a life as we want to live. So have our car in our garage and move as we learn to move. So in Italy, especially in Italy, the big problem is to change the bad behavior. So put in the new generation the importance of the environment, the importance of give back to the citizen the city and not moving only with car. We create a pedestrian area where the citizen can go, have the 5G connection, can work there. So try to re-give back the city to the citizen. I think that this is the big challenge. This is the reason that we try to involve citizens in all this experimentation in order to understand the impact inside their life. Then it's not a question of technology. We have 5G, we have a Mac of Intel. The private company are able to manage this kind of technology, and the public administration has the ability to interact with the private organization. We know now that we have to be partners and not competitors, so we are able to design together the future if we are able to involve citizens in this big challenge of the future. Otherwise, we will have a big problem as a city.
So I see it a little bit different. So I see it, we need to listen to the citizens, right? We need to understand what their need is. And then we need to adapt the characteristics in the city. And definitely what I believe there are technologies which are half-baked, they are nearly there, like going autonomous, going into the direction of electrified, going into the direction of shared and connected, will build the base for a future which is fulfilling the needs of the citizens. But and the biggest technical challenge is not a technical challenge, but it's a challenge of working together, what you raised before. Mm-hmm. A Bosch cannot solve the problems, a city cannot solve the problem, a BMW cannot solve all the problems. We need to do it together, otherwise we fail. And I believe there is a mandate for us in Europe to do that together. And otherwise we are in the backyard of the future setup of city traffic transport. We need to open ourselves and take away the borders between us. And I think that is the biggest technical hurdle which we have to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Paola, you work with, you're a professor actually at the University of Turin. What role do universities have to play in this ecosystem?
The university has an important role because university need the problem to solve, the real problem to solve. As a city, we are full of problems, so we really collaborate well with the university. And we try to attract students in the public administration in order to do the transfer of knowledge. We have a public administration that is a little bit old. The average age in our council is 56 years. So we need the young people to work with us and to change also the approach to the project. It's not always a problem of technological problem. It's a problem in the public administration of organization and understand that we can change the way to act.
And with our last couple minutes here, I want to ask you guys to make some predictions. If we were to go ahead 5, 10 years and go to a major city, what do you think would be the most drastic change, the most significant difference in how we experience the city and how we get around compared with cities today? And Bernd, I'll start with you.
So I strongly believe that in the core of the cities, in the urban environments, you have only a limited number of really individually driven cars and vehicles. Especially cars. You will go more into the direction of shared, and you will see automation everywhere. You see it by reducing the emissions significantly, and you should imagine connecting all these cars and people. It's not only about connecting the cars, vehicles, scooters, etc., but also connect them to the people to make it a really accident-free, stress-free, emission-free type of environment. I strongly believe that we see a lot of that already in 10 years from now, and dominated by a kind of shared economy behind it. That's my strong belief.
And in the last few seconds, how do you think Turin will be different in 5 to 10 years from now when it comes to transportation and how we experience the city?
First of all, we are using in our city a lot of data. We create a data team inside our council in order to understand how our citizens move in our territory. So what we want to do is create the public transportation exactly on the need of our citizens. So maybe we decrease the number of buses, but we increase the efficiency. What I dream for my city is that close to the public transportation, we will have autonomous car, and I can call my car from my home, and car come and bring me whatever I want. So
that sounds lovely. Well, guys, thank you so much for sitting on the panel with me, and thank you all for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.